Okay, let's dive in. We're going deep today into something really fundamental, how we actually experience life.
Mm.
I mean, we're not just talking about looking at the world, we're exploring how our minds are like constantly constructing the reality we perceive.
Yeah, it's the engine room, isn't it? It's that difference between just passively seeing and, well, actively building
Yeah,
every single moment.
exactly. And we've got this really interesting source text that kind of unpacks all this. It's called The Mechanism of Thought, How Perception Reinforces Reality.
Right. It really peels back the layers on that whole process.
It does. And what I find powerful about it, and maybe to do too, is how it just challenges that default idea that we're, objective cameras just recording what's out there.
Absolutely. It makes a really compelling case that perception is, well, deeply personal. It's filtered, heavily filtered, actually.
So our mission for this deep dive then is to try and maybe crack open that mechanism, figure out how our internal world, our thoughts and feelings shape what seems external.
And importantly, what happens when you start to become aware of this? When you actually notice it happening in real time.
Yeah. Because the hook here for you listening is that if you can grasp this, it could potentially shift how you see,
Right.
well, pretty much everything.
It really could. It's a fundamental shift in perspective.
So one of the first big ideas the source lays out is that thoughts aren't passive recorders. They're not just taking data in.
No, the text calls them active architects. I like that phrase.
Really too. Architects. They're interpreting, constantly assigning meaning, shaping the raw sensory stuff that's coming at us.
And what are the building materials? What do these architects use? The source gives this great analogy. Think of your mind like a massive library.
Okay, a library.
Yeah. And every single experience you've ever had, every belief, memory, judgment, good or bad, it's like a book on the shelves in that library.
Ah, the mental library. I get it. So when something new happens, you encounter a new situation, your mind doesn't just see it totally fresh.
Right. Instinctively, it races to the shelves. It pulls down what it thinks are the relevant books. Past experiences, existing ideas, biases.
To make sense of the new thing.
Exactly. So the reality you actually perceive, the one you experience, it isn't just the raw event itself. It's the event filtered through your unique library collection.
Wow. So it's already colored, interpreted based on everything you've ever thought or felt before that moment.
Precisely. It's pre-filtered.
And this, I think, is where those insights from Dr. DeMartini, who's mentioned in the source, become really key. If everything's filtered, what's the main filter doing the heavy lifting?
Values.
Mhm.
The text hammers this home. It's your core value.
Your values.
Absolutely. What you deeply, truly value consciously or unconsciously acts as the primary sorting hat, if you like.
Okay.
You automatically notice, prioritize, seek out, and perceive more of whatever aligns with your highest values in any given situation. Things that resonate with those values just pop out more.
Okay, so give me an example. Let's say financial security is a really high value for someone.
Right.
Then their architect thoughts, the ones building their reality, are going to be constantly scanning their environment for anything related to that. Signs of stability, potential risks.
Yeah, or opportunities. They'll create a reality where financial stuff is always kind of foregrounded, whether it's worrying about lack or noticing abundance. It's just there more prominently.
And if someone else really values, say, learning or personal growth,
Then they'll spot chances to learn something new or see a challenge as a growth opportunity that the person focused on finance might just walk right past. Their filter is tuned differently.
so the thoughts that keep coming back, the persistent ones, they aren't just random mental noise.
Not at all. They are meticulously, almost perfectly aligned with these deep underlying values.
Yeah.
Often values we aren't even fully conscious of.
Yeah. The source has this beautiful line, humans think they see with their eyes, but they truly see with their beliefs.
That hits home, doesn't it?
It does. And then it follows up with something that really makes you stop and think. And a belief, my dear, is just a thought that has grown too comfortable.
Oof. Yeah, that comfortable thought, the one you stop questioning, it solidifies. It becomes a filter that feels like just reality.
And that belief then dictates what you can actually see and experience. It reinforces itself.
Which brings us to the feedback loop. This is what makes the whole mechanism so powerful and sometimes, honestly, a bit tricky.
Right. The loop. Explain that.
Okay, so your perception, which is already filtered by your thoughts and values, constructs a specific version of reality for you.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that perceived reality, the one you've just built, It then turns right back around and reinforces the very thoughts and values that built it in the first place.
It confirms them, makes them feel even more true, more solid.
Exactly. It's like your inner world whispers, maybe the world is like X, and then your filtered perception of the world shouts back, see, it is like X. I told you so.
So if you believe, deep down, that people are generally untrustworthy,
You'll likely interpret ambiguous actions as suspicious. You'll notice the times people let you down more than the times they support you.
and those perceptions will just strengthen your original belief that people can't be trusted. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy in a way.
Totally. And conversely, if your values and beliefs lean towards, say, collaboration and trust,
You'll pick up on cooperative cues more easily.
yeah, you'll notice teamwork, you'll interpret actions more generously, and that reinforces your view that collaboration is possible and effective. It's the same objective world, potentially, but a different experienced reality.
And the source is clear. This isn't inherently good or bad. It's just how the mechanism works. It's the operating system.
Right. It's actually incredibly efficient for making rapid judgments, navigating familiar situations, saves a lot of mental energy.
But the trap, the real danger highlighted in the text is when you're completely unaware that this is happening.
Yeah, that's the kicker. You can become totally enclosed in your own mental bubble, utterly convinced that your filtered reality is the only one, the objective truth.
Never even realizing you're looking through a very specific personalized lens. You think you're seeing through clear glass, but it's tinted.
Tinted by your values, your beliefs, your past books.
So, okay, massive question then becomes, how do you step outside that? How do you gain some perspective? How do you become, as the text puts it rather poetically, the cosmic alchemist of your own self?
It sounds grand, but the starting point is actually quite simple. Foundational, really.
Which is?
Awareness.
Yeah.
Just pure awareness. You have to start observing your thoughts.
Not judging them, not trying to change them initially, just noticing them.
Exactly. Noticing them as interpretations, as suggestions,
Yeah.
as the raw material the architect is playing with, rather than as absolute statements of fact.
Okay, that makes sense conceptually. But how do you actually practice that? It sounds a bit abstract.
Well, the source offers a pretty practical exercise. It calls it a dragon trial, which sounds dramatic, but it's manageable.
A dragon trial. Okay, I'm listening.
Right. It's simple, but needs a bit of discipline. You find a quiet moment, maybe carve out 15, 20 minutes, and you just commit to being a silent observer. Watching what's happening externally, maybe clouds moving, sounds around you, people walking by, and also what's happening internally. Your thoughts about those things.
So you're focusing on something fairly neutral, not emotionally charged to start with.
Yeah, that's usually easier. Just watch the clouds, listen to the birds, observe people from a park bench, whatever.
And then?
And then the exercise is just to notice the thoughts that automatically pop up in response. Like, oh, that cloud looks like a rabbit, or that car alarm is so annoying, or those people seem like they're arguing. Just notice the commentary.
Without getting swept away by it, just identifying the thought itself.
Precisely. Then the next step is crucial. For each thought you catch, you gently ask yourself, what underlying belief or value might be coloring this perception right now?
Ah, connecting it back to the filter.
Yes. Is that cloud thought may be linked to a value for creativity or imagination? Is the reaction to the noise about a need for control or peace? Is the judgment about the people maybe reflecting your own feelings about conflict or connection?
Interesting. So you're tracing the thought back to its potential root in your library.
Kind of, yeah. And the final step is the most revealing, perhaps. Can you consciously choose to perceive that exact same situation through a different lens, a different filter, just for a moment?
How so?
Can you look at the cloud and just see it as condensed water vapor, no rabbit? Can you hear the car alarm simply as sound waves without the label annoying? Can you see those people just as individuals having an experience without projecting your own story onto them?
Okay, so the point isn't to force a permanent change right then, but to prove to yourself that the initial thought was just one interpretation.
Exactly. It's about making the mechanism visible, demonstrating to yourself in real time that your first take wasn't the only possible reality. It shows you that the power to choose your interpretive lens actually exists within you.
You're essentially catching the architect in the act of building.
You got it. That's the essence of the exercise, catching the mechanism red-handed.
Okay, let's zoom out again then and bring this all back home for everyone listening. What's the big takeaway here?
I mean, if there's one thing to really grasp, it's the power of awareness. Simply recognizing that this thought, perception, reality feedback loop is constantly running in the background. That's step one, the essential step.
Because understanding that completely flips the script, doesn't it? Your thoughts aren't just these passive reactions to the world.
No. They are the active builders. They're guided, often unconsciously, by your deepest values and beliefs. And they're constantly reinforcing a specific, personalized version of reality for you.
And the incredible potential power that this deep dive reveals, it comes from realizing your thoughts are interpretations. They feel real, but they aren't necessarily objective facts.
Absolutely. That awareness gives you agency. It allows you, maybe for the first time, to actually question your default filters, to look at the books in your mental library and ask, are these serving me? Are they accurate?
And then crucially, to consciously begin choosing the lens, choosing how you want to interpret and experience your life.
It's about moving from being unconsciously run by the mechanism to consciously working with it.
So here's a final thought to leave you with. If your reality is being built, brick by mental brick by your own thoughts and values, what kind of reality are you currently constructing, maybe without even realizing it?
hmm And knowing now that you have this mechanism, this incredible power of interpretation, what could you intentionally start to build? What different books from your library could you choose to consult more often?
Maybe just take a moment later today, observe your own thoughts, see what reality they're busy building for you. It could be quite revealing.